How are you today? Listen, I am so pleased that you're here. If you have been with me for some time, I am so glad that you're here again and welcome back. And if you're a new listener who's just found the show, hey, it's so good to meet you, and I hope you stick around. Today, we're going to talk about how to use the future self concept to help you reach your goals. Now, we're going to talk in the arena of signing clients and building a coaching business, but you can use this concept with any goal. It's completely universal. Building a business, creating clients, it's not just about doing the hustle and doing everything and working at it so hard and doing everything perfectly. And that should be a relief. If you feel like you've been working like crazy and it's just not coming together, I want you to know that it's okay. Listen, what I've noticed is that we love to look for strategies. And anytime you're struggling to sign clients or to reach that next level, you're probably out hunting for the next strategy. But sometimes we treat strategy like the magic pill. You know that magic pill, right? We're supposed to just pop that pill and it's going to solve all of our problems. Here's the funny thing, though. Sometimes we do need a solid strategy and a plan, of course. And sometimes we need consistency and we need to continue to learn and hone our skills and practice and learn when we make mistakes. But sometimes it's something else. Now, if you've been listening to me for a while, you'll have heard me explain that we can create a simple business. And truthfully, the basic pillars of a successful coaching business is to have a really strong offer, one that's in demand and creates a desired transformation for your dream client. Then have a way to attract those dream clients into your space, also known as leads, and a solid way to have a conversation with those people and convert them into paying clients. Yeah, that's it. Three main steps. So, all of those ads that you see, the ones that you see from the gurus, the ones that say, this is the miracle one way that will solve all your problems program. They tell you you've got to speak on stage. You've got to have a 3-part video series. You need this click funnel. You need a tripwire. There are so many of those marketers, and they are ready to share their process. And don't get me wrong, many of those processes and many of those marketers are great. They're solid, and they are the right approach for someone, but they're not the right approach for everyone. And they're also not the right approach for everyone at all times. You've got to be ready for that next strategy. So, is it a match for your skills, your personality, your approach, your style? And are you at the right spot in your business to apply it? So, some of the solutions are for people closer to the beginning, and some of them are for more advanced coaches. So, that being said, I do love a good strategy and process. But what I've found is that there is something that when you add it, it is everything. It makes everything so much better. It takes everything to a higher level. It's kind of like if you're making a soup. You know what it's like? You cook up the onions and the veggies, and if you add meat, you've got it all ready to go, and then you add the broth. Now, before you add the broth, it's a mix of veggies and stuff, and it's good. But now, when you add the broth, you've actually got a soup. This is the ingredient that's kind of like the broth. And this ingredient is your thought work. The other day, I was talking to some of the folks in my group coaching program, and I said, to be a successful coach, what I've seen is that it's the right strategy and the right time practiced consistently, and then you couple it with a powerful mindset. So the power is in that and. You've got strategy, you've got practice, you've got consistency and mindset. It's even more important than you can imagine. So, one of the concepts that I like to teach is how to apply that thought work to help you reach your goals. Today, we're going to talk about your future self. Now, if you're listening, future self is capitalized, and that's capitalized for a reason. And it's because I think it's that important. Often, when I think of your future self, you might even call it your name 2.0 or Candy 3.0. So I'll often say Candy 2.0 or Candy 3.0 when I'm visioning forward to the next level that I'm going for. So, why are we talking about future you? I am so glad you've asked. It's because future you has already reached that goal, the one that you're going after. They have the life and the experiences that you would love to have, that you're dreaming of right now. And they are having the life that you will have. They've already done it. They've learned the lessons and they've grown into becoming the person that you want to be. Remember, too, that who you are today is actually a realization of earlier you. You are already your past self's future self. Okay, I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but think about it. The things that you have today, how many of those things did you wish for 10 years ago? Did you wish that you had a lifelong partner and a great relationship? Did you wish that you could have kids and that you'd have the benefit of being a family? Did you wish that you could take that amazing trip? And now you've done it, right? So you see what I mean? When you were in the past, you wanted something, and now you've probably got many of those things that you want. So, did you know your future self has got a ton of knowledge? They've gained experience all along the way, and they've got the wisdom too, and they're ready to share it with you. So it does sound a little bit odd, and yes, it sounds a little woo, but this is such a useful concept. I want you to stick with me and you'll see what I mean. So your future self has accomplished what you want. Maybe they're a coach and they've signed their first paying clients. Maybe they're a coach and they're making money and having a positive impact on the world. Maybe they're a coach who is living in a different country, working their lifestyle business. They're being paid to do something they love to do, and they have meaningful success. Sounds pretty good, right? So let me get a little meta on you here. You today, the one that you see as you look in the mirror right now, she was future you at one point. Think of all those things you've learned, how you feel. What are you thinking about in your life right now? What are you grateful for? What are you in awe that you've already accomplished? I would encourage you to say a silent thank you to your past self. I bet you, the you right now, has done some amazing things and that you're pretty incredible. So say thank you to yourself for that. Have you been going to the gym regularly? And now you're strong. Do you meditate most mornings and start the day feeling energized and centered? Did you read a bedtime story to your kids? And has that really paid off? If you, the today you, spoke to you from 5 years ago, what would past you say about going to the gym or meditating or reading to your kids? I bet that they would have a lot to say. So, if there were new habits that you wanted to create, you might have heard yourself saying in the past, oh, I know it's tough, but it's worth it. Stick with it. You've got this. Or just put your shoes on and walk out the front door. You only need to walk for 5 minutes a day and then you can go home. Or you might have said, don't worry, it's okay. You only missed one day. Just start again. Don't quit. I believe in you. So maybe that was what past you said to themselves when they were going for those new goals, right? Now, it's easy to think about it from this perspective, the perspective of you now, thinking about you from the past. You can remember what you did, how you spoke to yourself, and how you built that habit that's now ingrained. But now, let's shift our perspective. The future you who has the coaching clients that you want, she knows stuff. They know exactly how it came together. He knows where there were struggles and how long it took to overcome them and what you learned along the way. Future you knows a lot. And remember, future you has reached the goal. They know all the twists and turns, the times that it got hard, and they remember the breakthroughs too. So you can ask her for help today because you might be surprised to know that you can tap into him and ask them for help right now. They are here waiting for you. Sure, like I said before, it feels a little woo, but I also want you to know that it's extremely practical and it's proven. Think of it like this. There was a Harvard study back in 2009, and researchers were studying the brains of pianists. And as those pianists practiced playing the piano, they noticed that specific parts of the brain lit up when measured by something called a TMS. Now, I don't know what a TMS is. It stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. But what I do know is that when those pianists were playing, these parts of their brain lit up, they were activated. But then, when those exact same people were asked to only imagine playing the piano, guess what? The same parts of their brain lit up. This studies show that your brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between imagination and reality. And that is powerful. It means that you can absolutely start to imagine your future vision and create your future through the act of imagination. So when we step into the shoes of our future self, we're creating new memories in advance. So, what do we do to get our future self to help us? Well, this is interesting. We're always used to going outside of ourselves. We go and ask others for help to solve our problems, right? We rely on those outside opinions, the guidance of others, recommendations, and instructions. And while those things are important, we often will rely on them even more than when we rely on ourselves. So, what I'm recommending is that we start to learn how to learn from ourselves and that we build a self-trust in our own knowing. And we start by asking ourselves what we think. It's like a conversation. You're having a conversation with your future self. So we're always used to that academic style of learning where somebody else tells us what to do. It starts outside of ourselves, and then we memorize and regurgitate it, and we call that learning. But this is really different because learning from ourselves, we know ourselves so incredibly well that we know the best way for ourselves. And so we're building that trust. So here's what to do. First, you decide what it is you want. Doesn't have to be something super far in the future. It can be something next month, next week, or even tomorrow. Maybe you want to sign your first paying client. Maybe you're ready to be fully booked. Maybe it's designing and selling a digital course. It can be anything that you want. Use these same techniques with everything in your life. We happen to be focused on you becoming a successful coach, but you can use them in any area. You can use them for your family, your relationships, your health, your fitness. This approach applies everywhere in your life. Okay, so you've chosen one thing. Now, here's what you do. Just take a breath and relax. Whatever it is that you need to do to calm your nervous system down. Super important to just relax right down. You don't need to be pushing away or being all stressed about this. This is a fun process. Now, imagine that it's done. Imagine that that thing that you want is complete. You might need to close your eyes to do this, and that's okay. Go ahead. Everybody has their own favorite way of imagining. Imagine that you're in the middle of that first coaching session with your brand new client. It's done. You're coaching them. You wanted to sign a client and you did it. Imagine this. It's your life. Feel how you will feel and know that it will happen, that you will get your first paying client. Are you still relaxed? Good. Now put a little smile on your face as you imagine being in that coaching session. And ask yourself, I had a goal to create a coaching client, and here I am. In my imagination, I am doing it. Stay relaxed and ask, What did I do to create this? How did I sign this client? Now remember, you've already achieved it. So all you have to do is answer yourself. Grab your journal and write out your answers. Journaling is one of those things that is so powerful. It really helps to capture the thoughts so you don't forget them. It also helps you to slow your thoughts down so that you can be really aware of what's going on. Now, hey, if you've got the time to do this right now, great. If not, pause the episode and get some paper, grab your journal. And if you don't have the time, then come back later when you do have the time to do it. Carve out just a few minutes and write it out for yourself. So you've relaxed, you've imagined that goal complete, and you've asked yourself, how did I do this? How did I create it? All right. You write those things down. What did you write? Was it just one or two things? Or was it a big long list? Both are good. If you're not used to learning from your future self, you might feel a little stuck, a little glitchy. It's okay. One thing, that's all you need to write down one little idea, one little response from your future self. Next, how do you feel while you're doing the thing? So, what do I mean here? Is your future self told you, this is how I created that client. Now imagine that you're doing those things. And how do you feel while you're doing those actions? Those are the actions that created that paid coaching client. Choose a couple of words that describe your emotion and write those down too. And finally, ask yourself, what was I thinking while I was feeling this way and taking this action? So you've signed your client. You've asked your future self, how did I create this? And maybe you had a random thought like, oh, I remembered that I was going to go to that networking group. Now you ask, how did I feel at the networking group? And you're like, I felt open and fun and I met some neat people. And what were you thinking to yourself? Maybe you were thinking something like, gosh, I really like the people here. See what I mean? Simple things. An emotion is a certain way. You had a certain thought, and that is how your future self told you that you created that client. Who knows? At that networking group, maybe you met somebody. Maybe you got introduced to somebody interesting, and they knew somebody who might be interested in being a client. We never know exactly all the steps that go into it, but we can do a pretty good job of imagining it. So, where are you at now? You've got a list of actions that your future self told you to do. So, guess what? Go and do those things. Your future self knows how it happened. Use that trust in yourself and go and do them. Think the thoughts, feel that enthusiasm or whatever the emotion was that you captured, and take the actions that you wrote down from your future self. I know it seems so simple, and it is, but it's not always easy. It's a different way of working towards your goals. It's the way of mindset. If you're listening, do know that I believe in you, and I know this stuff works because I use it every day. Give it a try. Now, I've talked and I've explained it to a point. Now, let me give you a little example so you can see how it works in real time. So let's start with that simple goal, the goal of I want to sign a paying client. Here's the example. I want you to breathe and imagine you are in the coaching session with that new paying client. Close your eyes. Your goal is complete. It's done. You're sitting in a Zoom session and you're talking to that new person. Now imagine how you will feel. I bet you feel something like satisfied or proud while you're doing that coaching. And relax and enjoy that feeling. Now ask yourself, what did I do to sign this client? Perhaps you realize you did a couple of things. Maybe something like, I spoke to my friends and told them about becoming a coach. Or I took a class, and when I introduced myself when we went around the room, a couple of people wanted to know more about coaching. So I told them about it. So now, how did you feel while you took those actions? Talking to your friends, attending that class. Your response might be something like this. It might be, I felt bold, or I was calm, or I was enthusiastic. I was excited about coaching. Now, when you're feeling enthusiastic, what were you thinking? I was thinking, this is great. Other people need to learn about coaching too. Or maybe I was thinking, coaching changed my life. I love coaching. So now you know, you've learned from yourself. You consulted with your future self, and this is the place to start. Now you know what to do because your future self told you. Take a class, introduce yourself, talk to your friends, relax, feel enthusiastic. Remember how much you love coaching. So that's the example. That's how it works. It's like imagining in reverse, right? So this is not a once and done exercise. Creating and cultivating a relationship with your future self takes time. Enjoy it. Do it every day. Ask future you the same question or a new question tomorrow. Learn from yourself. You are the authority in your own life. So every time you do this, you will start to build that trust and you will know what to do next. This is your completely personalized way of writing an effective to-do list that's going to help you reach your goals and get to that next level. And even more importantly, there is something that is really special about building that trust with yourself and looking inward to your own wise self for guidance. Now, just because you do this once, it's not going to mean it's going to work like that magic pill. You're still going to need to learn and evolve and fine tune and make mistakes and improve, but you will make progress and in a way that is completely aligned with you. This is a way to get more of what you want and reach your goal in a way that feels aligned. You get to do it over and over. This is the practical application of the CBT thought model that I've explained to you back in episode 11. There's so many ways of using that model. This way, you know what you want. That's the result. You know now how to get that result because you've asked yourself, and you know how you feel and think while you're creating the result. Your future self has that result that you want. She has the goal, big or small. Don't hesitate to ask for his help. They are waiting for you. Now, before we go, if you loved this episode, do me a favor. First, pay it forward and share it with a friend. Then I would so appreciate if you could take a minute and write me a review and give me, hopefully, a 5-star rating. I love reading these reviews. And if you're not subscribed yet, absolutely do that too. Hit the follow button so you don't miss any of the great episodes that I've got planned for you. Most importantly, I believe in you, I love you, and I am cheering you on. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this message with you, and I'll see you in the next episode.